students? Hey, it's Javi here. I was able to kick us off for our second week of Free People. The idea I'm speaking on this week is free people don't dance with danger. When I thought about this sermon, I thought about dancing with danger. I thought about coming close to the edge. I thought about hiking, the idea of hiking. Many of you have probably been on hikes before. I've actually had the opportunity this past December to go on a hike, and I got to the top of a mountain in Maryland. It's called High Rock. What the cool thing about this is a lot of people go there, paint graffiti. It's a really cool experience, very beautiful view. But as I was up there, I saw a little boy scale the side of the rocks, and he was so far up. I was like, is his mother not worried? Like, is his mother not scared? Is he so close to the edge? Like, is she not scared about this? And as I was thinking about this, as I was preparing for the sermon, I thought about so many of us in our lives. At one point in this boy's life, he had to have come close to the edge on other things in his life. So he may have had to climb a tree. Let's just say he climbed a house. He had to do a couple other things that allowed him to push past that barrier of fear to the point where he, at any moment, he could have fell off, and that would have been tragic. But so many of us in our lives, that's how it looks, is we know that there's a line that we shouldn't cross, but we push and push and push. Sometimes things don't happen immediately, but we get so comfortable in sometimes in our sin, in things that don't benefit us, and the bad things in our lives, that we continue to push the line, we continue to push the barrier, that before we know it, we start dancing with a fine line of danger in our life. When I was in middle school, there was this one song. It was a Lil Wayne song. It was very long ago, but there was one line that he says in that song. He says, "I used to be so well-rounded, but now I tiptoe on hell's boundaries." And I thought about that verse when I was creating the sermon, because I thought about it as we all started off, sometimes most of us probably started off in a good place in our lives, but sin crept in, and we got more comfortable with sin. We got more comfortable, and before you know, we all start doing this dance with danger and with hell's boundaries, and we understand that the wages of sin is life and death. In Proverbs, it says, "The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty." See, none of us are any match for sin. Sin will always take us further than we want to go. It will keep us longer than we want to stay, and it will cost us more than we want to pay. That is why we need wisdom. We need wisdom in our life to help create things in our lives to help us from staying away from those boundaries. And in our lives, we got to understand what is wisdom. What is wisdom in our lives? How does that look? And in James 1, verses 5 to 8, it says that we can ask our generous God for wisdom, and he will give it to us, and he will not rebuke us. It says, ask our generous God for wisdom. We need this wisdom, because wisdom gives us the opportunity to discern from right and wrong. It tells us, hey, this isn't good for me. This is bad for me. Hey, you know what? This is good for me. This relationship is actually good for me. This relationship is bad for me. And that's what it does for us. Wisdom gives us the ability to discern from right and wrong. In other words, it will create boundaries in our lives. Boundaries are healthy. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of boundaries. Boundaries are very healthy, and it keeps us on a track, and it doesn't let us go off the side of the roads. Sometimes a lot of us, when we're driving on the highway, we see the railings, the guardrails on the side of the highway. I don't know about you guys, but when I see that and I'm driving past some water, I feel safe, because I know that there's something separating me from the water. That if something were to happen, the guardrails will catch me. Those are what boundaries are in our lives. Boundaries are an opportunity to keep us from that danger. One thing I want you guys to talk about in your groups today is, how do we set boundaries in our lives, and how do we respect the boundaries in our lives? I want you guys to discuss these things in your group today. All right, see you guys next week.